everyone, this is Helios Raven. I tell you how to do it, even if you don't care. And I do have some, like the title card says, some very sad news. And the battle report between the Tau and the Adeptus Mechanicus fleet is not going to be happening anytime soon. And let me explain behind this. What happened was this camcorder, like, the reason why it took so long until now is because this camcorder that I'm recording with right now, the batteries no longer hold a charge as long as they used to. So they're just not recording enough time like they're supposed to be, and so, like, I have it hooked up to a power supply to record with it right now. And that's why I haven't been doing any battle reports. But for an Easter/birthday/Christmas present, I got a brand new camcorder, this little guy right here. And so, with this, me and Phil decided, we're going to finally get this battle report underway. I bought 2 memory cards, which I was under the impression will get me 3 hours each for recording time, and we were all set and ready to go. And I went out, and I only brought 1 memory card with me, because I was like, 3 hours is going to be enough time. Last time, when we did this, it was roughly 3 hours of videotape that we used up. So, we went off with that, and I go and plug in the memory card, and I find out I was wrong. It was only 46 minutes. Now, later looking on, it was because I didn't have the camera was formatted using another, more high quality, file format than it normally did. Because it was a higher quality format using 24 frames and such, it took up more, it made a bigger file, which took 47 minutes out of an 8 gig memory card instead of the regular 3 hours if I set it to another format. So me and Phil were thinking, we're like, what can we do, and we decided, well, we do have it kind of pretty low, so we have our own system, so we decided we'll record. We start recording, and we realize we're running low on footage. So we're like, okay, let's cut back. Let's paraphrase each phase in each person's turn. Eventually, we started noticing that that wasn't even working anymore. So we decided, okay, let's just paraphrase every round. And eventually, it got to the point where we just ran out of footage. And so we're like, okay, I've got a digital camera with me, I came prepared, so we'll take snapshots and I'll describe everything later on. And I get home, like I said, I'm still having the problem with my computer with it not operating properly, so I fix the computer, get it all going, plug in the footage, and the footage just looks terrible. And when I mean terrible, I mean it's like, like audio is off, footage is off, the whole 9 yards. I'm setting the editing program to the proper formats and everything, and what I found out is the camera, the high frame recording switches, if I understand right, the program I'm using wasn't really made for that file format. So, lost right there. And so now I'm on my way of testing out the video formats, going to record, try and play a little, take my time with this camera to try and figure out what it is, and then produce a new battle report for you guys. But I hate to leave you guys hanging like this, so I will let you know what happened. In all, I lost. I got destroyed. But it had critical moments where it could have gone either way. And see, what happened in the beginning it was, like I said in my prep video, it was planetary assault. Phil was all the way on one end of the board. We had a couple of dust clouds, an asteroid field on one side, and the planet with a dust ring around it. I took I had 2 dictators, a Gothic cruiser, another Gothic cruiser, but because of a Mechanicus, it was there because of a Mechanicus subplot, where it wasn't really a cruiser, it was a transport. And the whole goal of it was to try and get something to shoot at, and if something shot at it and destroyed, and something shot at it, I got a bonus renown if we were doing a campaign. And I had 3 Firestorm escorts and 2 squads of Cobra escorts. Their Mechanicus gifts weren't really that impressive. Most of them were just, only loses such and such, only uses, weapons go down to 75% when they move fall, and all this other stuff. So nothing really of real merit there. And, oh, I upgraded the Gothic to have a, Nova Cannon, because on my last game, the Nova Cannons were, like, destroying everything, so I was like, I'm gonna take Nova Cannons, I seem to be balling with them. And so we go, and the game starts off with my cruisers moving forward, and Phil's Tau just firing torpedoes my way. And I launched the fake cruiser off to one side around the asteroid field to divert some of his escorts and his transports over to it. So he moves those guys over to that way, because it's like, well, there's only one ship on that side, I'll destroy that and be no problem. And my escorts start moving forward against the rest of the Tau forces. They move in, and he starts picking them off little by little, but eventually I get up to one of his cruisers. And I fire on one of his cruisers, doing some damage. I think I reduced its speed down to 10 centimeters. And then the other cruiser, I'm like, oh, I know, I'm gonna board this thing, you know, I'm gonna try and board it. It's an escort, it's probably gonna get killed, but whatever. I board the one cruiser, and I reduce its speed down by, 10, and I cause a fire on the thing. So I was like, oh, wow, I just did some awesome stuff to this thing. And eventually that cruiser was just, every round that it kept staying on fire, and so I was crippling a cruiser without even trying, with one escort doing a boarding action. Granted, Tau stink at boarding actions, or getting boarded. My group isn't too ain't too good at it either, but we're a lot better than the Tau for sure. And by this point, as he's moving forward, he ends up turning my Adaptus, my Gothic, into a drifting Hulk. So it started drifting along, and the other escorts that were moving around the asteroid field destroyed the fake cruiser. So good for me. And while this is happening, the dictators are firing ordnance around the battleship that I had. The I forget. I'm going to post its name right down here. So, around this guy to give him cover. And he was starting to get really close, and I was like, well, I'm out of Nova Cannon distance, I gotta get really close, I gotta do something quick. So I plan I'm gonna assault the thing and broadside it. So Phil puts up a line of bombers, knowing what's coming. And I'm like, great. So I run through the bombers, and I survive, like they do no damage. And I run up and I start broadsiding everything. I teleported attack his battleship, and I was just starting to really chip away at his stuff. I crippled a couple of the vessels, and I did some damage to them to really slow down their progress. And this battleship was just like, hey, I'm rocking this thing. And so Phil takes one of his battleships that has not been touched through the whole game and chases down my battleship. And that's where I really start to lose it. That battleship's just hunkering along, and it gets crippled, and it's losing speed. And I was like, okay, if I can turn the ship around, I can, do stuff. I can probably get some stuff around. And he just keeps making it where I can't make enough move to turn the thing, so I can't get the ship to turn. And the ship can't come to a new heading, so I'm really screwed at this point. So I fired, my weapon batteries at this one cruiser that was on the battleship side. I was trying to just get away from the battleship behind me, and I decided to blow up the Hulk that the Gothic ship was, so he didn't get the kill point for it. And so as his battleship was chasing my battleship, and I managed to destroy the cruiser that was there, his escorts and his transports managed to get to the planet. And they start moving along the edge towards the planet. And one of my dictators decides to go after them, while the other one stayed behind to deal with the cruisers and battleship that was there. And on the planet's surface, I had a bunch of Lance batteries and one missile silo and 2 launch bays that were just firing everything they could at these guys. And I was, pelting them, I was slowly chipping them away. But eventually these escorts and these transports get within 30 centimeters of the table edge and start scoring points. At this point, his crippled battleship and his 2 cruisers that were with it get to the planet's surface as well. That's when the dictator jumped in, because he's like, oh no, I gotta get around to get this, to get the ship. So he jumps onto the planet as well to take care of the battleship and the 2 cruisers. The transports and the escorts end up getting destroyed by my lance fire, and my dictator ends up turning one of the cruisers into a drifting hulk, and that drifts towards the planet. The battleship and the regular cruiser that he had get into within 30 centimeters and start, scoring points. My dictator starts coming to pelt away at them, and eventually, because we weren't really being too careful, our 2 cruisers, his cruiser and my cruiser, crash land onto the planet. Same with his battleship. So now we have 3 cruisers that just crash land onto the planet's surface, and a battleship that just crash land onto the surface of the planet while they were pelting it with high orbit gunfire. And at this point in the game, all that was left was my dictator-class ship and Phil's battleship. And they're just Benny Hilling it around the asteroid field towards the planet. To which, at this point, I'm trying to ram him, I'm trying to fire batteries at him, and I just can't get anywhere on him. And eventually he gets to the planet with the battleship, and Dictator follows suit, but the battleship just has so much of a lead on me, I can't catch up to him. And he gets within 30 centimeters of the planet, and I'm launching bombers and lance shots, and I just can't blow this stupid battleship up. The Dictator eventually comes in to run interference, and at this point, I was in really desperate act, and I was like, wait a minute. He only needed to score 1 more point. Oh, why didn't I think about this before? I crippled a cruiser with an escort. I should be attacking with a battleship. And so I was like, screw this. I ran up to him, and I boarded action him, and I was kicking myself in the pants that I did not do this earlier. I should have been doing this through half the game, because I could have probably wrecked all these stuff by now. And so I boarding action him, and I lose. I managed to do a critical hit to him, and he manages to do critical hits on me. But at that point then, Phil scores the last victory point, and he wins the game. And Phil and I are looking at this like, this planet's been pelted. It's had ships dropped on it. The crust of this planet has been penetrated. It is dead. It is a dead world. And so we described it as after so much destruction, the planet became unstable. The Adeptus Mechanicus Dictator-class cruiser, knowing it lost this fight, gets out of there as fast as they can, while the battleship leads out of the planet's orbit, watching the planet die. It then later drops a survey team to see what can be salvaged of the planet, and it is a great loss to them. But the planet survived. But the planet was taken back from Imperial hands. So that was the game. It was very close. There was a lot of times where I was like, I'm gonna win. Phil's like, he's gonna win. And I'm like, crap, I'm gonna lose. And Phil's like, I'm gonna win. And it was just like, the game just kept going for so long. And my biggest issue was I was too headstrong, and I left the planet. I should have never left the planet's low orbit, so I could have just been sitting there launching Nova Cannon shots and torpedoes and everything, and leaving my escorts and everything around it. But no, I, like a fool, was like, oh, my Eldar tactic worked, I'll use it with the Imperial Navy. And no, Eldar tactics do not work with the Imperial Navy. I wish I had more dictators, but I don't like proxying models at all, mainly because it confuses with me, so I don't do it. So I had to work with what I would. I should have used an Oberon battleship instead of the Mechanicus special battleship, but I kind of wanted to show that in action on this, and it did a lot of damage. Like, that was probably the one model Phil feared the most out of everything. And I should have done what I was doing with my dictators. I should have just hanged around the planet, because I was in orbit around it. I didn't have to move. But I, like a fool, moved out of my protective zone, and I paid the heavy price. And I should have been boarding them more often than I was. I should have been coming up, broadsiding, and teleporting attacking them the entire time. because we were reading up on the rules and it said you couldn't do any attacks if you want to do a boarding action, but it didn't say anything like that with hit and run attacks. So we're like, okay, hit and run attacks, you can do other stuff and still perform hit and run attacks. So we went with that, and I should have been doing more of those when I could, because I had plenty of opportunities to do them, and I just never did. So it was mainly on my side, bad luck and poor tactics. I mean, if my luck held out and I used a little bit better tactics, I probably would have won when I had the upper hand, but in the long end, I lost. And in a way, you guys lost too, because I can't show it to you. Yeah, I got a couple of these photos here, but in the long run, you guys left out, and I really, really am sorry. I got too confident in my own knowledge and not accepting the fact that I may not be as well educated on the new stuff as I was on the old stuff. So I really do apologize for that, but I'm working really hard now to learn the intricate workings of this camera and how it works with my editing programs so I can make the best makeup video for you, because I want to make this up with another battle report. And me and Phil plan to do that, but I just can't think of what we can do. I mean, how can I really make it up to you guys? It has to be something grand, like Star Wars meets Star Trek meets Lord of the Rings grand scale, you know. Something of like a planet-killing level of epicness. What can I do? What can I do?